every day, something reminds you you're getting old. You get up in the morning and you go to put your socks on and you realize you still have dents in your ankles from wearing socks the day before.
Former local NBC weatherman Fritz Cohen has got a new comedy special out, and it pokes fun at the indignities of growing old. Welcome back to Inside the Issues. I'm Alex Cohen. Unassisted Living is the name of this show, and you can find it on the streaming platform at Tubi. And I gotta say, the timing is pretty spectacular, seeing as it is Older Americans Month, and this year the theme of that month is Aging Unbound. For more, we are joined live once again by Mr. Fritz Cohen. Welcome back and good to see you.
I'm so happy to be on with you, Alex. Thanks for talking about this.
Of course. I mean,
just wanted to thank you also for giving mental health in America it's just due. My daughter just graduated from college. She's going to be a child psychologist, and she's waiting to go to graduate school and is already working in the mental health field. And I don't think there's been a time in America post-pandemic when people getting themselves healthy emotionally and mentally has ever been more important. So it's great you're giving them all this this concentration.
Thank you so much. We couldn't agree more. But we're going to tonight focus on the other end of the spectrum. Kids have it really hard right now, but I think you could also make the case that older people in this country have it pretty tough too. You know, and I feel like here in the United States, we have this number 65 because that's when kind of you're technically considered a senior citizen. But I can speak for myself. I know that sometimes you can feel old well before you hit that specific age. When did you start feeling like, oh, I'm an old guy now?
I feel it a little more every day. Well, as they say, 65 is the new 45. You know, when I look back several generations and see how we sort of treat older people differently. When my grandfather was 65, we would hide his dentures from him and thought that was really funny. Now you can be 65 years old and many older ladies post pictures of themselves on Instagram in a bathing suit. It's a whole different time now. But I started to feel old when I started having a couple of health issues, and I was reminded of my mortality and started to take better care of myself. And then I started to also worry less about what the future brought. And I got to that point in my life where I just relaxed a little bit and just time is limited no matter how old you get. And I honestly, this is true. This sounds dramatic, but I have never been happier in my life than I am at this moment. I have grandchildren. I get to see them. I get to see my children more regularly. My life is full, and I'm having fun. I'm getting to do stand up again, having a good time.
I love to hear that. But I know, because I watched the special, that there are moments, even though you're loving it, there's some awkward moments, right? And especially here in Southern California, there's a hilarious bit in the show. You go to the coffee shop, you're, having this moment with the pretty barista, and you think she's flirting with you. Turns out she went to high school with your kid. I'm wondering, is there something particular? People grow old all around the world, but here in LA, where we're so image conscious, is there something that, I don't know, makes it tougher about it in this particular region?
Well, yeah, I think the universe of California, when everybody's judged physically before they're judged in any other way, career-wise or intelligence, they're judged physically. But also, men have this predisposition at acting younger than they are. And so we make these hideous mistakes of thinking it's appropriate to date a woman 30 years younger and that nobody will suspect what's going on, where you could be walking down the street with your young girlfriend and you think people are applauding you, saying, look at that old stud walking down the street, when in truth they're saying, wow, he looks nothing like his daughter. It's a very different world now.
Yes, that is in your show. And speaking of, I want our audience to get a little bit more of a sense of unassisted living. Here is another clip. This one is about your meds. Let's take a look.
I'm now using a pill caddy for my medication. The little plastic box of the days of the week. I look at this thing and I weep. Up until a year ago, I was using it for fishing tackle.
You know, Fritz Coleman, aging, if we are lucky, is something that happens to all of us. But in addition to you doing it here in Southern California, you and your kind of generational cohort have had this very unique experience of growing old during a pretty serious pandemic. Can you talk a little bit about how COVID-19 has maybe affected your experience and the experience of people you know who were up there in years?
Yes. Well, the thing is, for those of us of a certain age, we may have some underlying issues, and so it was very scary for us to go through this thing, having to be extra cautious about our physical well-being. And I'm single, and I broke up with a woman because she refused to get a vaccination. She just doesn't believe in science, and I just couldn't take the chance. And I said to her, I don't understand, because that purse full of Zoloft you take is what's keeping you from stabbing me in the neck with a fork every day. That's science. So how is it that you don't believe in the science of a needle? So, you know, it's all those. It's the beauty of this show is it just reflects on ways that we are similar in our old age, and it's kind of a support group. And we talk about things that are going to happen to everybody, God willing. And there are no politics involved. It's clean. I just want the opportunity, as I do every time I perform in front of an audience, to take people out of their heads for an hour and let them forget the dark clouds on the horizon in our current political and social environment, and just let's talk about what makes us one and have some fun.
Yeah. But also what makes us different. I mean, you talked about how older men behave. I want to talk about older women for a moment, if you don't mind. As you likely know,
I don't mind.
But of course not. Martha Stewart recently made headlines and made history as the oldest swimsuit cover model for Sports Illustrated. I thought she looked fantastic. Let's take a listen to what she had to say about this experience.
I want other women, especially women, to feel that they could also be on the cover of Sports Illustrated with issue.
You know, Fritz, you talked about how men just kind of act goofy when they get older. I can speak as a getting up there in years woman that sometimes it's really easy to feel like you hit a certain age and you kind of are seen as useless, right? Like you're done with having kids. What do we need you here around for anymore? Men, women, others, what do you think can and should be done overall in our culture to help older people just feel better about being old? It feels like there's a lot of stigma around aging in this country.
Well, I think that's a great point. I think Sports Illustrated is a good step forward. First of all, it's ageless. Rock on, Martha Stewart, for being on the front of Sports Illustrated. But I think the fashion industry and the overall attitude of people is getting much more progressive. You have people like Lizzo, who have become a hero to many girls, people with not a perfect figure, a little larger than what would be considered normal. I think it's fantastic. I think we're coming into a time, at least a portion of the American public is coming into a time when we're a lot less judgmental on people's physical aspects. And I think that's a healthy bit of progress we're making. And Martha Stewart, go ahead on. I think that's awesome.
And I think you are awesome. Mr. Fritz Coleman, his latest show is called Unassisted Living. You'll find it on the Tubi channel out now. Fritz, thank you so much.
Can't thank you enough. Thanks, Alex.